Yeah, here we.
This is buffalo. This is bear.
Okay.
Now here we got skunk. We got fox. Of course, everybody knows this one.
Yeah, we see them on the road all the time.
Oh yeah. Now this is the badger. You don't see too many of them. They're more nighttime. And of course, this one everybody knows, the trash panda. Look at that tail. If you don't know what that is, you'll probably see a lot of them on the road too. And of course, coyotes. At one time, they couldn't hardly give away barrels of them hides. Now they're getting $125 and up on it.
We got a farm 2 miles from me that raises coyotes.
Really?
Some kind of government project. They raise them to train dogs to hunt them. I don't know. They got all these.
It's kind of secretive.
Yeah.
We've got it all fenced.
I've done a lot of hunting off and on. I could never kind of bring myself. I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Dog hunting never sat well with me. I mean, it's one thing to shoot an animal and to kill it, but to sick a pack of dogs on it and let them tear it apart to kill it, that just, to me, that ain't right. But I mean, not like with coons where they would tree it, that's one thing, or even with the cats. A lot of the cat hunters would use, but there again, they would tree it, but then they would shoot it. They didn't let the dog. But I've seen them like hunt bear and boar, and it's just something about it don't seem right.
One guy farmed for raised in Kansas, and he had a pet coyote when he was young. He said those things can be mean. He said you can't trust them.
They're a wild animal.
Yeah.
That's like that. One guy raised I want to say it was a grizzly bear, and he raised it from a pup, played with it, everything, this and that. One day, they don't know what he did, but something set it off, and of course he videotaped everything, and he's videotaping and playing with the bear, and they had a videotape of him getting killed by the bear. But don't know what set up. They're a wild animal. You don't know.
Yeah.
And they kill a family member sometimes.
I guess the worst thing is when an elephant goes berserk.
That's a lot of muscle moving.
Yeah.
It's like
people try to raise snakes. You can't trust them.
I'm trying to think that story had to do with the lady found the snake in the cold. Felt sorry for her. She took it in.
Yeah.
Nursed it back to health. Nursed it back to health. Well, then it got warm and bites her.
Yeah,
She's but I nursed you back to health. I'm a snake. This is what I do. You know.
Snake.
It's
Yeah,
an old Greek proverb, isn't it?
70s. It's so.
Yeah, but isn't it an old Greek proverb?
Take me in, for goodness sake.
Yeah,
Take me in, oh tender woman. I'm a snake. Yeah, it's a good song.
So, what old tools do you have on your table here?
Well, this is a spike tomahawk. This is made to hurt people. That's the whole purpose behind it. It's sharp on both ends. This come over from Europe. It was basically first over there because of the armored knights. They needed something to punch through the armor. And when they came over, of course, they brought something with them. Well, they didn't necessarily have armored knights over here, so they didn't really need it so much. A lot of it, then they kind of went over to the pipe hawk. This is a pipe tomahawk. She's got a pipe bowl. The idea is I come up on you in the wilderness, I can offer to smoke some tobacco to show that I'm friendly, but if you don't want to be friendly, we have other ways to discuss that. This is a fairly plain one. This would have been kind of a usual. This one here, this is based on an original that the French brought and gave to an Iroquois chief in 1760. The original is in a museum somewhere in Upper New York. The man who made this one had a good enough reputation. The museum let him come in, take pictures and drawings so that he could reproduce it. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. Curly maple, I mean.
What kind did they use on St. Clair when they defeated him?
Do what, sir?
When the Indians defeated General St. Clair, I wonder what kind of tomahawk they used.
Well, and then Tecumseh, him and Simon Kenton, I guess, battled off and on for years. And I don't know if it was Tecumseh himself, but Simon Kenton was running to escape, and one of the Indians come by and they hit him in the head with the pipe hawk and actually took a piece of his skull out, and he lived the rest of his life with that piece of skull missing.
Okay, now, how did they drill through the tomahawk so you could smoke through it without weakening it so much. It wasn't any good for
Well,
anything.
it's a very thin hole. They would take a piece of wire, basically heat it, and slowly burn their way through it.
So they would burn a hole with wire.
I mean, modern now they'll drill it, but back in the day, they would you would heat a piece of wire and slowly burn your way through. And this is made from an old gun barrel. They didn't
Okay.
waste anything. You didn't have the option to go buy a piece of steel.
Read the farm history books, John Deere, Case, and them. They used gathered up old nails and everything else. Wood wheel wagons, it was hard to haul steel from the east out to the west.
No. That's why the blacksmith, that when he made that gun barrel, maybe it didn't weld quite properly, or whatever the case may be. So, but he's not going to waste it.
Mhm.
He's going to use it for something else. You're going to make it. I mean, but to me, the blacksmith was the most important man in an area. Everything you wanted, you went to a buckle, an awl to make your clothes, a knife, a skillet, a plow. Everything was made by a blacksmith.
I have heard that in medieval times they were almost considered magical just because of what they could do, the smiths.
And in some areas, it wouldn't surprise me because it takes a lot. You got to be able to read that steel to know when it's proper to work as far as the temperature. I watched this guy work, and he's like, okay, now that steel's almost ready. I'm thinking, well, how do you know? Well, by the color, whether it's yellow, orange, red, or as he put the one, it's something about wheat straw, gold, and it tells them when the steel's, you can work it to do this, you can weld with it, or you can hammer it out, the different temperatures. It's a skill. It's like anything. When you farm, when a field's ready to plant. You can tell, you can drive by, Grandpa would drive by, okay, we need to get in that one. That one's ready to harvest. That one over there ain't. They could tell by looking. It's a skill that you learn by doing.
I've actually read books already that talked about when they first started mass producing axe heads, they actually hired blacksmiths to look at the heads in the furnace on the conveyor going by because they didn't have technology to do it. You had to get a trained blacksmith to tell you if you were heating your stuff properly.
I know they say that there's places in India where the families, generation after generation for 500 and 600 years, they're still blacksmiths. Now, whether or not they're as good as what they used to be is a little questionable.
Yeah, I know this whole thing here this week on the Damascus steel. They cannot duplicate what the Arabs made back in the 12 and 1300s to fight the.
Well, a lot
We
of
can
that,
make better, but we can't make the same.
well, a lot of that, it kind of got the name Damascus later on, but originally I believe it was called Wootz, Wootz, and it was the fold. That was like the Japanese. They knew which metals to mix together, how to fold them, which ones to fold in when, and things like that. That was like with the Damascus or the Wootz metal.
It's like a good chef. You knew how to mix the ingredients.
Exactly.
I can't figure out, wonder how they made the chain mail for the armors on those knights. I mean,
We know that there are people who can still do it. There's a lot of work.
He had villagers doing it, didn't they, sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a tremendous amount
Yeah, I
of
think
work.
they had
Oh,
villagers.
it is. But they would have apprentices or whatever that's all they would do all day. They would sit there and they would wrap the wire around a mandrel and then cut it and then take and do each individual ring together, and they had a way to hammer weld them, or some of them riveted them. But it was a lot of work. But when it came to, hey, that guy's going to stab me and I'm going to bleed, or he's going to stab me, and that chainmail stopped it,
The Arabs had a sword that would go through that chain mail. That's what they couldn't
Oh yeah.
understand at first.
They didn't know how to fold it the way they did.
Well, and
They had
a lot of
metal
the
that would penetrate it sharp.
well, a lot
Then
of
they have to do the double rings.
Well, a lot of the steel, of course, in some of the European countries, they talked about, there's stories where the soldiers are in the middle of a battle, they hit somebody with their sword, and then they have to stop and straighten it back out because the blade folded over because it's so soft. It wasn't good steel. And that's where a lot of some of the Wootz and Damascus and the Japanese steel and stuff, they talk about how their stuff would cut through some of what the Europeans had until they learned how to do it. A lot of the really good steels, I want to say, started coming out of Spain early on. They figured out how to make, a lot of like what the Arabs were, the type of steels.
What I've read, I had a cousin that was from Texas, Spanish descent. When the Spanish came into Mexico, the Aztecs, Mexico, they had cotton shields that their guns and arrows wouldn't penetrate.
And the natives learned how to make shields where they would have a wood frame, and then they would like lace rawhide, and then they would stuff it with grasses and certain hair off of animals and whatnot. Then they would cover it with the thick part of a hide, and they had a way of where they would wet it and stretch it and work it and then heat it. And a lot of it had to do with the shape. It wasn't so much that it wouldn't penetrate, but it had to do with the shape where the ball would bounce off rather than punch through.
Yeah, that's what the book said. A lot of the Indians tribes, they run it. It was a diary of a monk in northern Mexico and southern Texas. It was published in 1620. It was one of his ancestors' brothers, a priest, said a lot of the Indians they ran into was cannibals, and when they had guns and everything, they had all French weapons. This was in 1500s, late 1500s, early 1600s.
See, and those would have been, what they called them,
Harbagoose.
Arbicrest, something like that. Yeah, I never could quite get that. And of course, matchlocks back then. And then they once they started getting more tech, they came in with the flints, and then of course eventually, I want to say it was somewhere around 1812, I think they developed the caplock. But they were hard to get, hard to make. So
It was hard to get the caps.
Well, but it was hard to make them because a lot of times you had to make your own. The fulminative mercury cap.
Anyway, the Indians had weapons that were made in France.
Well, yeah. The French,
they didn't want territory, they just wanted to make money.
I was just going to say, that was the big thing. That's why the big French and Indian Wars before the Revolution was that was the big battle, big battles here in America. The French teamed with the Indians. They wanted to keep the English out. A, the French wanted exclusive trade rights, and B, the Indians liked the French because, hey, they're just coming here to get their stuff and going back home. The English were here to stay, and they didn't like that.
The Indians, once they got copper pots and pans, they didn't want to go back to their old.
Well, that's kind of like some of what I got here. This is a bone knife. They could make 4 blades out of each leg bone. And you can, somebody said, well, that's not very sharp. Well, no, because, anything sharp, I have a lot of leather on to keep kids off of. It will take a very good edge, but because it's soft material, it will wear. It's kind of like the difference between high carbon steel and stainless steel. A high carbon blade, which most of your really good old knives were made out of, it'll sharpen quick, but it also loses its edge a little quicker. Stainless is harder to sharpen, but it'll hold the edge longer. Now the obsidian, fragile.
It's stone.
Well, this is volcanic glass, technically.
And that one from around here.
Flint is stone. Any place that had volcanoes, you had obsidian.
So they traded to get it here.
So, but
I've heard the edge on that can be 1 atom thick.
Napping was an art, and not everyone in the tribe could nap. So when the natives, were able to get the steel knives and arrowheads and things from the Europeans, it wasn't the Europeans who were the natives' downfall, it was their goods.
Yeah.
Once,
I've seen
So they said they forgot how to do their native stuff very quickly.
I saw on the creation show, Dr. Carl Ball was talking about they found some obsidian scalpels and everything in South America. Guys actually used them on heart surgery. Said they were sharper than the stainless steel.
In some surgeries, they still use obsidian or flint because they can't make the steel blade as sharp as what the story goes that is so sharp it will cut between the molecules. Now, but literally they still use it in some surgeries because they can't make a steel blade that'll go as sharp as what that does.
The Incas had them, and so did the Egyptians. Well, what it made now, they showed a stone vessel over in Mid-East, had an opening, just a small opening like a bottle, and it was carved out bigger inside, and it had writing on the inside. They don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I'm curious about that myself.
Yeah.
And I know we had.
I know they showed it and everything, and then they had a camera and went in to see the inside, you know. And you could
I
see
know
the
that
writing
they've
in it.
made, even in Roman times, the Dolomite bowls were worth their weight in gold. Because it had been lost by the time of the Caesars.
A lot of you hear how backwards and ignorant they were, but they did a lot of things that we still can't figure out how they did
I
them.
know, I was reading the book now, they said they had 10,000 Indian mounds in Ohio alone.
Yeah.
Every county had them.
So are you a trader or a hunter, or what are you portraying here
I'm
today?
technically a trader trapper.
Trader trapper, okay.
I would bring goods into trade to get them to allow me to come into an area, and I could either trade them for furs or I could trap myself, and then I would take them back to market to sell.
Cool.
Did you bring in copper pots and pans?
So what's the whistle there you've got on your?
Well, this is made out of buffalo horn.
Okay.
They made them in the shape of fish because natives were very spiritual about animals. This is just a signal whistle. They would just use it to signal, let people know. They also had, for warriors, especially out west, they had eagle bone whistles. Those were, I don't want to say sacred, but in a way they were, but they used them for signaling, for different signals. This is just a very loud whistle.
Okay, and I assume you have a flintlock rifle there. Oh, that is beautiful.
That's a Southern Mountain rifle. That's a flintlock, 50 caliber.
Really made them?
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I
Yeah.
saw Jim Bowie's Bowie knife down in San Antonio once. A big old sucker.
I'm going to show you something. Speaking of Jim Bowie, just give me 1 second here.
He was the third richest guy west of Mississippi when he died.
Who was?
Jim Bowie.
Well,
Oh,
I can believe that. Now,
He was very wealthy.
everybody knows about Jim Bowie and his famous Bowie knife that he used at the Alamo.
Yeah.
But before he did that, there's a famous fight called the Sandbar, where him and it was like 27 other people were trapped by the natives, and they fought them off for several days until they got a chance to go away. This, from the research, is the type of knife he carried for that,
Yeah.
which back then would not have been unusual. You would have used like a large butcher knife. And as I tell people, this is heavy enough that it's an all-purpose kind of tool. And when you're hiking a lot, you don't want to carry more than you have to. This is heavy enough. I can cut saplings for shelter, kindling for a fire, but yet I can hold it like this, and with that curve, I can work the hide off the animal, cut the meat, split the pelvic, the big bones, and things like that.
And that looks to be about a 1/4 5/16 inch thick.
Oh yeah, this weighs a lot.
Well, the Bowie knife was really thick. And heavy.
Well, the Bowie knife was roughly, I think it was 11 inches long. The blade was 11 inches, and it was either 1.5 or 2 inches across at what they called the point, where it come down to that point. Then it had that false edge. Now the false edge was also sharp. The idea was you could come across like this to slash, and then come back and use that
cut
false.
both ways.
Yeah.
I know they had a picture of Davy Crockett there. He was not a handsome guy.
Well, you know, and you go into a lot of the old cabins, and where I do some of these, like villages like this, where they have a lot of the old cabins, you walk in, you got ducks. I'm only 5'9", but the average man back then was only about 5'3" or 5'4". We were a lot shorter. David Bowie, or Daniel Bowie, and Daniel Boone. You gotta be stuck on Bowie. Daniel Boone and people like Simon Kenton. Simon Kenton was like 6'2" or 6'3". He was considered a giant. They were big men. Most men were smaller.
I know we've been reading the books on giants where they found something up 10 feet tall in the mounds and everything. But what fascinated me, they found a copper axe head weighed 38 pounds. They found a couple of them. Now that'd have to be a giant to swing that. That's small Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, it takes a lot of arm to move that kind of.
I know,
Move that kind of weight.
I know. I picked up a 20-pound sledge already, but Oh, well,
Probably use both hands though too.
yeah, I mean,
I know I do.
It'd make your tire wheel 10 pound. I use a 6 pound wood splitting axe.
At one time, just because we used to do a lot of, well, I did metal work for a lot of years, but at one time I could grab an 8-pound sledge and pick it up and be able
Touch
to
your nose,
touch
yeah.
your nose and then put it back down without hitting yourself in the face.
I did have the 6 pound, but
Yeah, I wouldn't even try it now.
I can't even do it with a 2 pound now.
Well,
I'd try it with a 4, but I
was gonna
certainly
say,
wouldn't.
I'm right there with you. With the arthritis I got, yeah.
Well, when we was in
as
school,
heavy
we
as I
had a
wanna
guy,
pick up.
John was his last name. He wasn't too bright, but he had a girl sitting on a chair, and he picked one leg and picked her up like that. I mean, he was a guy. If there's somebody dared him, he couldn't break a blackboard with his fist, and he did it. I mean, he just
I
took
wonder
his
if that was
fist.
John. I wonder if that was John Sullivan.
No, his last name was John.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he picked a girl up just one leg of the
Yeah.
chair, just picked her up.
Oh yeah.
He didn't have very many brains, but he had a lot of muscle. So, but like I said, those giants, they were all like DeSoto, and then they came in, and Ponce de Leon came into Florida. They talk about they met one Indian chief. He got on, they put him on a horse, and his feet drug to the ground. Tuscaloosa, that was his name. I mean, and then went into South America. They had stories of these met by giants. I mean,
And they said they have found skeletons and stuff to prove that, but it's like they keep disappearing. They keep getting
well, it doesn't
buried.
fit
I guess is
evolution.
the
It
best way to
doesn't
put it.
fit evolution.
Well,
No, the Germans, they said they had some of 25 feet, 25 feet, and we bombed the museum when they World War II. They know they had them. I mean, there's all sorts of records where they met giants. I mean, Abe Lincoln even talked about them.
yeah. See, Abe
Ask him
Lincoln.
that.
Oh yeah, he did talk
Abe
about
Lincoln was sick. I'm trying to remember. He was like 6'3", 6'4",
Yeah.
something like that.
Sam Houston was a big guy.
Yeah.
And James Arness, played Gunsmoke. They put him the point man in the Second World War. So he was the tallest guy, put him out front so he could see where the enemy was.
Let's see.
like when the enemy see him too. Though.
Well,
Yeah.
they said a lot of times the enemy would wait until several of our guys got in sight before they started shooting. Otherwise, you just get one guy. That way you can get multiple guys.
The guy who was in Korea talk about the first several ways the Chinese come across didn't even have a weapon. They knew they had to shoot them, use up all their ammunition, and
Yeah.
then they send the guys with weapons in.
Let's
They
see.
just
During
sacrificed
during
Nice.
during the D-Day landing, there was a bunch of the Scotsmen, full kilt with their bagpipes. They went in front of the Highlander soldiers and everything. They went in. They're marching on the beach playing the bagpipe. The Germans thought they were crazy, so they weren't shooting them. So here they are. They're piping all the rest of the guys on shore, and the Germans weren't shooting them because they thought they were. These guys are nuts. Just leave them alone,
We got enough real targets to shoot at.
Well, there's something about a man in full kilt carrying a bagpipe and no weapon.
The ladies from hell.
And he's running onto a beach that's being strafed with machine guns.
Is that a Scottish flag?
No, that's just. I've got a piece of red wool, but I couldn't find it right now. What I got here is this piece of buckskin. Now you feel it is very soft, very flexible. They used to make a lot of their clothing out. Even the colonials would make their knee breeches and stuff out of it because the deer were very plentiful and it held up well. Hot in the summer, cold in the winter, it gets wet, it's heavy. So when they were able to get their cottons and wools, the natives, really wanted them. Wool, you pour a little water on there and it'll bead up because of the tight weave. In cotton or buckskin, you fall in the river and it's winter, you stand up, it'll start freezing. The wool won't. It'll be wet and you'll be uncomfortable, but it maintains its thermal property and you'll, be able to get a fire going to dry yourself out. It won't freeze. It won't start forming ice like the cotton and the leather will.
Sort of like an animal's coat. Animals can go out in really cold weather without freezing, get wet.
Some do because of the.
Well,
the
technically is an
thickness.
animal's coat.
Part of it has
Yeah,
to do with
right.
the thickness of the pelt. Some of it has to do with the natural oils that they have in it that you know, shed the water.
Right. So you could shed the water somewhat like animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting.
But yeah, somebody else asked me if I knew what the tartan was. I don't know. I could look it up. It was just, it's a piece of wool.
So you don't have a 38-pound tomahawk.
No, sir, I do not.
Well, they found spears that weigh what, 10, 15 pounds of spearhead?
And
You
so,
know, what's funny
so
is
what are
I've got-
those pieces?
I've got a spikehead hawk that probably weighs about 3 times what that does. And I carried it a few times,
not
and
bad.
by the end of the day, it weighs a lot. This one, I went to this one because I carry it in my belt when I'm doing events, and I can carry it all day, and I don't really notice it. But that other one, where it's really heavy, you notice it real
Well,
quick.
we got some stone hammers there my dad had. Shoot, they're what, that big around?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they aren't that
6
big.
pound and stuff. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they're really heavy.
We
He found 3 musket balls when he worked in the field with tractor.
Huh.
So,
Now where was his farm at?
well, it was Continental, South Continental,
Along the
along the
Blanchard.
Blanchard River.
So what are those two pieces on the end wrapped in rawhide?
Well,
Medicine
this
man.
would
It's a border.
the natives had to do with what they could get out of nature. So this is a gourd rattle. They would dry the gourd, they would dry the seed, put them back together. They would wrap the handle with some leather to give it a grip. When the Europeans came and they were able to get the glass beads that were very colorful.
So that's a baby's rattle then,
Well, no.
Good medicine
not
man.
or the,
necessarily. It's a
medicine man.
rattle.
Okay.
This is a dance stick. You would carry it when you're dancing in the arena to help you focus your thoughts and prayers to a creator.
It's
There
got some
again,
nice
they were able to
patriotic
get the
beadwork
beads,
there.
The colors, because of the colors, the natives jumped on them like, you know,
Love them.
flies on dung, and they taught themselves how to work them into the regalia. This is called peyote stitch. I'm not sure who first come up with peyote stitch, but if you look, each one of them is put on one at a time. You can
Wow.
see how they're woven in. And then they
Squalls
came up
do
with,
that or the braid?
do what, sir?
Did the squalls do that or the
They
braid?
couldn't even handle them without
A
dropping them.
little bit of both, I guess.
Did they use tweezers?
I don't think they had tweezers.
Oh, I see they threaded. They,
Yeah, see, there's thread. If you look
Oh,
real
okay.
close, there's thread. They're put on one at a time. Take the
So they're
needle.
hollow inside.
Do what, man?
They're hollow inside then?
They're
See the
beads.
little bitty holes? They're beads.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Okay, I get. It'd still be hard to handle them.
Take a skill.
You'd have to have a really small needle too.
Oh yeah.
I'll just like a little bigger needle. I don't see too well.
Like yeah, that's like where I was sewing on this little pouch here. Yeah, the needle and thread I'm using, I couldn't necessarily do beadwork.
Yeah, that's
So
what
it's,
I like.
it's
A
much
needle
it's
like
much bigger.
I like the bigger needle, the larger needle.
And that's even not. I've got bigger ones than that yet. But for working on this, I like to, when I cut the slit, I like to do the little sewing on the end so that it won't, as they use it, it doesn't work any bigger.
Yeah, you would have to have very good eye-hand coordination and very good eyesight.
Yeah, a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Wouldn't dare to have your little cats climbing all over you.
No, the cat would kind of bother me.
My daughter, because she's a bad type 1 diabetic, decided that she was never going to have children, so she's got 14 cats instead. She's a
We have
crazy
cats,
cat
too.
lady.
Yeah.
Those are her
Obviously,
babies.
it's not my fault we have cats. It's my husband's fault.
I'll take some blame too.
So, no, they love cats. I don't
There
want to
you
be a crazy cat lady, so I blame them.
There you go.
There's a guy, sick guy, yeah.
So what's that cloth there with the buckles on it?
So we've got it printed.
Come on over here, right?
No, those are metal.
These are trade silver. These are all patterned after original pieces that they do have in museums. They're all documented.
What did
These
you
are
call them?
Trade silver.
Trade silver.
Trade
Okay.
silver. The idea was I could carry a lot of wealth without a lot of weight, and would trade them to the natives. How they came up with the designs, not really sure. But the natives the natives really liked them, so they made a lot of them and traded to them. Some of them, these two here that are the same, this is called a fire council brooch. The idea was, I believe, if I remember the story correctly, there was a group of 12 chiefs that they wanted to come and talk to them about doing a treaty. So they had 12 of these made to give one to each of the chiefs to convince them to come talk to them and hopefully sign the treaty. And if you go to a native event, and if you look at the dancers, the women and stuff, you'll see a lot of these on the women's regalia and on the men's.
So is that silver then?
You what, ma'am?
Is that silver?
Yeah, these are all silver. Some of the pins are steel because the silver is kind of soft. So the pins that hold it on are steel, but everything else is silver. So those are all silver. I told my wife the one day, I said, something happens to me, anything like this you find, bags, hats, anything that has something on it that looks silver, it is. Don't let somebody, don't let somebody, well, that's just crap. Don't worry about it.
I'll give you $1 for it. Throw it out.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, well, that's like, it's like my gun. She'd have no clue what that's worth. So I can guarantee you on, but I'll give you $75 for it.
That's at least $1,000, isn't it?
I've had that long enough. I got it pretty reasonable. It would cost me 3 times what I paid for it to replace it. Because right now, one like that one's not real heavily embellished. There's not really any carving on it. It's probably around, somewhere $1,800, $2,000.
Okay, that's
you start putting a little carving on it or some silver work. Now you're looking at $2,600, $3,500. I've seen some of the House Brothers rifles go for in the 5 figures. They had one they built special that they raffled. I can't remember what they were raising money for, but a guy had a standing offer of $50,000 to whoever won it, he would buy it.
Wow.
And whether he got it, I don't know. I put $10 in just because I had met the guys who built it. The House Brothers they're phenomenal artists. They did all kind, and they did everything by hand, the old-fashioned way. You ever hear of the Foxfire books?
Maybe.
There was a college group that went through, I'm going to say Appalachia, and recorded how they did things, the old-fashioned way. Gold guitars, how they did blacksmithing. Frank House? How my brain went dead. Frank House, yeah. He's in book number 5. He showed how they hand built the rifles. Take a flat piece of steel, you beat it around a mandrel, fire weld it, then they would bore it out, then they would cut the grooves in it for the rifling. A lot of work. Not something they do, just in 20 or 30 minutes. It's not like a machine shop today that's going to produce one a day. They would maybe do 1 a year, 2 a year, type of a thing. But A, the guns were works of art, and B, at that time, that was your survival. And back in the day, you were either trying to eat it or it was trying to eat you.
We gotta get out of this thing.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
Not a problem.
Well,
Enjoy
that's really
yourself.
interesting.
Glad y'all come out.
There's some really interesting
If nobody
stuff.
come out, we wouldn't have any reason to be here.
Yeah, I try to film the presenters and put it on YouTube because you guys go to so much trouble and expense to do all this, and it'd be good if there's some record of it out there. I mean, it's.
We appreciate that.
Now, what was your name?
They call me Turkey.
Turkey.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Jerry. Good to meet you, Turkey.
Right,
And you
so
are the hunter trader.
I'm a hunter trader, trapper trader.
Trapper trader, okay. Turkey the trapper trader, okay. A
There
lot
you
of
go.
alliteration there.
All right. Have yourself a good day, sir.